Well, who do you think you are by getting up and leaving? Well, who do you think you are by getting up and leaving? Let me tell you, little girl, now, I don't give up, I get even. I'm gonna write your number down, every bathroom stall in the state. I'm gonna write your number down, up and down the interstate. It'll read for a good time, call me anytime or any day. Well, who do you think you are by getting up and leaving? Well, who do you think you are by getting up and leaving? Let me tell you, little girl, now, I don't give up, I get even. Go ahead. By getting up and leaving? Who do you think you are by getting up and leaving? Let me tell you, little girl, now, I don't give up, I get even.
Oh yeah. Play it, brother. Woo! Yeah, brother. Yeah.
I'm gonna write your number down, up and down the interstate. I'm gonna write your number down, every bathroom stall in the state. It'll read for a good time, call me anytime or any day. Well, who do you think you are by getting up and leaving? Well, who do you think you are by getting up and leaving?
Think you are?
Let me tell you, little girl, now, I don't give up, I get even. I'm gonna date your closest friend, take her around the by getting up and leaving.
Do you think you are?
Let me tell you, little girl, now, I don't give up, I get even. Do that one more time.
Let's trade fours.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Free for all. Ha. I got us back. Woo.
Here we go. Let me tell you, little girl, now, I don't give up, I get even.
You.
Yeah, I get even.
Nice, man. Woo. That was awesome. I'm gonna make up a little something here as we keep going.
All right.
Well, we're here at Okemo Valley TV, just recording episode 28 of the Tasty Twist. This little old podcast of mine. We got Rebecca doing the recording and Adam McMahon being the badass. Yeah, take it, brother. Woo! Woo! Hey. Woo! The Okemo Valley TV Blues. Yes, indeed. Episode number 28 of the Tasty Twist with Sammy B. I am your host, Sammy Blanchette, local musician and producer of the show. Thank you, Okemo Valley TV, once again, and their hardworking team for providing this platform for local musicians, business owners, entrepreneurs, industry workers, just about everybody who wants to be a part of a little jam session, a little fun talking about life, anything for that matter. So you just heard from my good friend, Mr. Adam McMahon. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
I pronounce that correctly, right?
Yeah,
McMahon?
that was right on,
yeah.
McMahon.
As long as the Mick is emphasized, right? Yeah. So you are a solo acoustic artist and you have your own band for many years now, the Adam McMahon Trio. But start off with a little bit of life background. You were in Vermont Air National Guard and the U.S. National Guard also as well too, correct?
Yes, I served 20 years and retired in 2020.
Thank you for your service, man.
It was well worth it.
Yeah, yeah. And you also studied IT, which is your current job right now outside of music, right? IT at USM, University of Southern Maine, correct?
Yep. I went to school from 2000 to 2004. Graduated from USM up in Maine and came back home to Vermont after graduation.
I have to ask right away, one thing I always forget being this far removed from college also, or high school, or education in a university setting. How different is it in a career like IT with learning it in a university and then applying it in the real world? The real world is always so different, right, when you're out there?
Yes, university, you're taught the basics. You're taught how it works, how is it supposed to work, and some basic level programming, kind of get you into the field, into what you're going to learn and what you're going to do full time after you graduate, and it's kind of more like an introductory.
Mm-hmm. How much has it changed since you graduated 20 years ago?
IT is changing every year.
Almost daily, right? Especially with apps and smartphones, right? I would imagine.
Technology is ever changing. It changes constantly. It used to be big. Everything was large, big screens, powerful CPUs, and
heavy as well too. Like those old televisions before the smart TVs. I mean, they were almost like on building blocks, sort of how heavy they were. Imagine carrying them up like 2 or 3 flights of stairs. Yeah.
Now I install computers the size of my hand.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you need wires like to plug them in and turn them on, but so much is like wireless nowadays, right? Especially with Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and then you apply it to your different industries. And I work on the retail side of it. I work in the retail shops and the point of sale systems.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you also install point of sale systems as
yes.
well? Yeah, and. Do you also install phone systems also as well too, or?
Yeah, we set up phones. We set up everything in terms of IT. What I do is provide support I could help a customer with their Microsoft account.
What's the name of the company?
It's called PC Solutions.
And how many years have you been there? Pretty much since you retired, or from the military?
Yeah, I've been with PC Solutions for going on 5 years now, but I worked with another company before then for 10 years doing the same exact thing with the same software and hardware. Gotcha.
When you were in the National Guard, between the state of Vermont and also for the country, did they have you be based out of a lot of different areas in the country?
I traveled a lot with the military. I deployed to the desert in 2006. I went to England. I went to Ireland. Went to Italy. We did a lot of training exercises all over the U.S., Michigan, and let's see, I was in Mississippi, Georgia.
Got to be pretty unique traveling. You know, I mean, obviously you may not have much time throughout the course of your day to really explore where you are, but just to say that you were in, I mean, Ireland, Italy sounds really cool. England, it all sounds just amazing being able to travel, you know, even though it's your days are like really long. I imagine you start like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and then you don't end until probably 9 or 10 at night.
Yeah,
Easily,
I mean, we were
right?
doing 12 hours, 12 on, 12 off when we were in the desert. So,
God bless. Well, I appreciate your we appreciate your services, man. So, with an IT background, switching gears to music, do you you use pedal boards, right, for solo and for with the trio, right?
yeah, my pedal board for solo is basically it's just a DI. It's an LR Braggs, and all I can do is it helps clean the signal and gives me a boost if I need it. I occasionally will plug in a looper too when I'm doing solo work.
Right. Having that background in IT and programming stuff, do you apply that to music shows with your pedal board?
Oh yeah, I learned to set up a sound system from the military, not uh, from doing live music, and that's I thought that was pretty interesting that I learned to do it
Right.
there when we would set up for major events in the desert and running sound.
Is that right? Wow, no kidding. Yeah. Did that include wireless and Bluetooth as well too with the sound system?
Wireless microphones. Yes.
Microphones, yeah. Those are so cool, man. But it's got to be tricky because you have to be close nearby the board still, right? Otherwise, you lose the frequency with it being
Yes.
wireless.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I experienced that recently with a wedding that I did for a lovely couple. Like we had one of those big, tall, skinny speakers. I forgot. I don't know if it's not
The Array?
I think it's the Array. Yeah, it's not JBL. I know JBL is like a completely different thing. Like with you know they're the big wireless speakers that increase bass and everything. But this is like you plug in. But the but the microphones are wireless, and but I just know that, and it being a wedding, you know, they're announcing, you know, they're doing all the speeches and everything, and you could just hear it like clipping from a ways away, just because
like,
they're like, the big day, son of a gun, yeah. Now, so that's cool. So, you're 43. You've had quite a extensive local music career so far. And you're based out of Claremont, New Hampshire now, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
I grew up in Windsor.
Windsor, Vermont. Born and raised Vermonter.
Born
That's,
and raised Vermonter.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So when did you actually start? When did you first like pick up an instrument, like the guitar?
A guitar. I was 11 years old. So I come from a very musical family. My grandmother was an amazing piano player, and I have 2 uncles that are drummers, and another uncle that is a bluegrass musician.
Nice.
And every year, my uncle would put on what we call in the family jambone.
Oh wow.
So, and he would have about 100 musicians come, and we'd pick all weekend long. And,
Wow.
And I started going to that when I was a kid, 9, 10 years old.
Nice. So did you take lessons right away?
I never took any lessons.
Never took any lessons. All self-taught. Wow, that's incredible. And so, I guess to go along with that also too, do you know how to sight read or?
I do. I took classical piano when I was younger.
Yeah.
From
Before you picked up a guitar?
before I picked up.
Before
a
you
guitar.
picked up a guitar. Okay. All right. Cool.
I took piano lessons, and I learned how to read sheet music. I'm a little bit slower now at it than I used to be, but
was it hard at first? How quickly did you like pick up on it?
well, when you're young, yeah, and you're learning it at a younger age, it's actually a lot easier because it's you don't have like the internet to.
Yeah,
you don't have cheat sheets.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I know exactly. Not like today. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with anybody that's teaching someone a guitar lesson or a piano lesson now. You could do it face to face like this, or you just hop on YouTube and everything's on YouTube. You can just like look all that up. Yeah, which is you know, pros and cons, I guess, of technology. But it's funny you bring that up because I would have always thought that sight reading was harder as a kid because you're distracted by something. Like I was distracted by a Sega Genesis system and a Game Boy in the 90s when I first started taking piano lessons and sight reading, and I never stuck with it just because I focused more on Mortal Kombat and Power Rangers and Sonic the Hedgehog. So,
Well, when I when I was taking piano lessons, I was learning Beethoven's Furlies, and my piano instructor, what she did was, as I would play the note, she would point it out on the sheet music.
Okay.
And if I got the wrong note, she would tell me.
It must have been great, the hands-on experience, though. Like when you were learning piano at that young age, to have someone guiding you with that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And how do you find still, if you think about it, I don't know if you still play piano nowadays or like, dabble at home. But how much different do you think it is compared to playing the guitar? For some reason, when I was back in college for music school, when I went to WestCon in Danbury in 2007, I don't know, like I had to learn a lot of the jazz voicings that I already knew on guitar, and to like put it together on the piano, I found it like very challenging. But there's got to be something for it being laid all out right on the keys, right?
Knowing the keyboard,
Yeah.
gave me a wicked head start on guitar.
Yeah.
Knowing how the keys work and how the sharps, the flats.
Mm-hmm. Voice leading, as they say. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, knowing the seventh chords.
Yeah.
And being able to play that on guitar and then hit it on the piano and knowing, oh, that's where that comes from. So the piano helped me gain a musical ear, per se.
When you went to college, did you balance anything as far as like a minor? Like, did you minor in music? Did you have classes like music theory or music appreciation at your fingertips to be able to balance in between IT?
No, what I did while I was in college was I played at every open mic I could possibly go to.
There you go.
So, and then at that point, I got in with a few of the bands, and they would call me up for gigs on the weekends up in Maine, and I would play.
Open mic has been a common theme on my podcast episode so far with musicians. It's got to be such, and I would imagine for you as well too, it's such an important community engagement opportunity, open mics. And talk a little bit about your years of experience at the Skunk Hollow in Heartland, Vermont, for example. Just how many times you've been there? Years.
Yeah. I would go. When I came back from when I was in college and I was home on break, we would go to the open mic, and Jason Kahn was hosting. And when I graduated, we would come every Wednesday. We were there playing, my friends and I, and then all through the different hosts. And open mics really get you in the community. They get you out playing. They get beginners to conquer their fear of playing in front of people.
Helps you build confidence, I was about to say. Yeah. And when did you fully start a solo acoustic career plus your band? Like, when did you fully start gigging intensely?
2006.
2006.
Well, in 97 and 98, I was in high school playing in the Larry Dower band, and he was my best friend growing up. He still is my best friend.
Is he still playing today?
He is, when I can get him out.
When you can get him out.
But he went to Berkeley. He's a killer guitar player. But I played with him, and we were in high school, and we were gigging in the Upper Valley. We were playing in bars, and we had to bring our parents as chaperones to play at these places.
Yeah.
So we started it then, and then after high school, and I was of course up in college. Then after graduation, I came back here, and then that's when I formed the trio.
Adam McMahon Trio, yeah. When you were playing with Larry's band, were you like the backup rhythm player?
I was a rhythm player.
So he was the lead guy.
Yes.
Yeah. How was that as an experience as you transitioned to primarily being the lead guy today with your solo shows and with the Adam McMahon Trio? How different is it being the backup rhythm guy kind of like hanging out in the back, like a bass player, for example. You know, the bass player is always hanging out in the back, but then being the lead guy, it's got to be a different like mind shift, right?
It is, but playing rhythm all those years helped me tremendously go into solo, because now I can play rhythm and play leads and work on that phrasing in betweens. And it was very beneficial. Anything in music is beneficial down the road.
Good to gain that experience. You mentioned you have a couple of uncles that drummed, correct? Do you have anybody in your family that stuck out as like the bass player of the group, as far as like holding down the low end?
No bass players in the family.
Yeah.
All
Have you ever played bass in a band?
I'm not in a band. I can play bass because I know the fretboard.
It's fun, isn't it? Yeah.
But I first started guitar when I was 11, and it was at the bluegrass party that my family puts on every year, and I learned G, C, and D.
Yeah. In addition to the open mics, you must have learned a lot from your family, right? From those jam sessions.
Oh yeah.
As far as like them giving you some tips, and because I almost think the more that you play out open mics or your own shows, I've gained this from my perspective and experience also too. I've learned so much more about volume control and dynamics within a group or a solo setting. So much more. Like I pay more attention to that. The older I get, because, you know, eventually we figure out like what we can do best, rhythm or leads and stuff. But then you focus on everything else as far as volume control, the room itself.
Oh yeah.
Did you pick up on that a lot more as you got older? You know,
well, no, we did it younger too, because we would, being in a blues band, blues is a 3-chord music, and to a lot of people, like it can get repetitive. So as a blues musician, you have to work in dynamics because you don't want to bore your audience's ears. So if you're going at 100%, and then all of a sudden drop it down to 25%, you know, it changes for the customer or for the listener, and it gives them the dynamics to, oh, this is different.
Yeah. How important is it to look and always feel like you're having a good time on stage, and how that connects with the audience?
It is really important. If you look miserable, they're gonna be miserable.
it's
you know,
just
if you
kind of
don't
saying the obvious. Yeah.
You got to include them in your conversations.
Yeah.
You got to talk to them.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to smile.
Yeah. Is that challenge? Has that become easier for you throughout time, or is it?
Yes, I was horrible at it when I first started.
But every gig is also different, right? Because the audience is different, the size of the audience is different. You know, sometimes even some repeat fans may not be in the best mood themselves every single gig. So it's about adjusting on the fly, right? Kind of like a baseball team or a football team, a coach would say to themselves and to the players, making in-game adjustments. So I would imagine every show we ourselves have to make in-show adjustments, right?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And plus, if I'm out with the band and I at heart I love blues, but I know personally that I can't play blues all night, because if I'm at a younger crowd out there, they'll dig the blues, but they won't love the blues all night. So throwing in some country or some pop or some classic rock,
right?
Yeah,
Yep. What would you? But you would say the blues is probably your favorite genre, I would imagine.
Yes.
After all these years, yeah.
I love the blues. It just, I don't know, it speaks to me.
Yeah, it's a very powerful genre. Tell those tuning in on the podcast some of your biggest musician influences.
My biggest, oh wow.
You could do a top 3. It's always hard for like people to like narrow it down.
It's weird because, you know, I have when it comes to blues, I like the classics. I like the B.B. King, the Albert King, the Freddie King,
the Three Kings. We three kings. We three kings.
You know. And then from there, you got what came off of those amazing musicians is Buddy Guy, Eric Clapton,
Stevie Ray,
Jimi
Hendrix. We can throw them all. Right. Like that. Yep.
But then even further, you can get in. Like, I love listening to Gavin DeGraw.
I'm not as familiar with Gavin DeGraw.
he's he's more pop and he's modern, but I he's a piano player with an amazing voice, but I could sit there and listen to him all night long just because
Yeah.
it. So when you say pick your favorite, it's so hard for me.
It's apples and oranges. Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard. But I noticed like, so we've, we've met each other and known each other only like a handful of times, obviously through our good friend, Ty McCarthy, who runs the Wheelers VT Productions, like hooking us up with gigs. And we'll talk about our favorite one in April that we just did with
Right.
Jim Yeager. Shout out to Jim Yeager as well, too. But I noticed that right away with you. Like, yeah, he's definitely into the Kings. He's into Stevie Ray Vaughan. You've got that just amazing blues, soulful passion to your playing, and also your singing as well too. You know,
Yeah, that's where I got my roots from. That's where I started.
yeah, you could throw some Greg Allman raspy voice in there
yeah.
also
Oh,
too,
right.
yeah, because he was influenced by the blues, obviously, also as well too. Greg, the
Him
late
and
great Greg
Dwayne,
Allman, yeah. I was chatting with the folks from Steam Jenny yesterday when we were doing a recording. Kurt and Suzanne, I like John Mayer. I don't know your thoughts on John Mayer, but he's had quite the adaptable career between, his pop songs, being in the top 40 still, like those songs he wrote all those years ago, to being a tremendous blues guitar player, and then being versatile, playing the music of Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead now with Dead and Company.
Oh yeah, he can do it all.
Monstrous career. Yeah.
I was in a big John Mayer phase in my life.
Yeah.
And I tried to learn all his stuff.
Did you ever see him live?
Never seen him live.
Yeah.
I loved it when he switched from his acoustic to his, and he'd come back and say, "Welcome to the stage, John Mayer Trio."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's where I got the idea from, going Adam McMahon.
McMahon Trio. That's awesome. Yeah. So those recordings that he did with who's the really solid bass player that he always had? Pino.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
When he came.
Yeah,
out
is he the bass player or the drummer? But yeah, when that Power Trio album came out, early 2000s or mid 2000s, man, that was a solid live album. John Mayer Trio live.
That was where he introduced himself as a bluesman.
Yeah. And it was so funny, like hearing all of his incredible leads and improv on those songs, and you hear all the screaming broads in the background because they're waiting for Your Body Is a Wonderland. Tell us a little bit about. I guess this like lumps in with both solo career and Adam McMahon Trio. How many shows a year would you say that you're doing yourself solo and with the band?
Oh,
you keep yourself quite busy.
I'm quite busy. I'm 3 or 4 a week.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that I've never actually looked at that number per se.
Yeah. But you say you probably get close to 200 shows a year.
Oh yeah.
I would say easily. Yeah. You definitely keep yourself busy. Does your band rotate members, or does it stay like pretty consistent, the same lineup?
I've had pretty much the same lineup now for a very, very long time. Ty and McCarthy and Dave Keeney. But both Ty and Dave play in 2 other bands.
Yeah.
Me as a musician, I don't like to turn down gigs.
Right.
Personally. So I have 2 or 3 other drummers, 2 or 3 other bass players that know my set.
Right.
So for me, I can pretty much take on any gig if needed.
And do you stay primarily in Vermont and New Hampshire, or do you travel to Mass, Connecticut, Maine, New York?
Primarily in Vermont, New Hampshire is where I play.
New Hampshire, yeah. There's a lot of work down in your hometown area, right? The Claremont area, like in and around, or like Lebanon, for example, like that whole strip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite venues that you want to shout out that you play at on a frequent basis?
I don't play as frequent, but I love playing at Salt Hill Pub Shanty.
Yeah, Shanty's a nice location. Yeah,
right at the base of the mountain.
Yeah. Shout out to Josh and Joe, right? And then and Matt. Yeah, shout out to those guys. Yeah.
So I play all the Salt Hills. My favorite to play is the Shanty. I have
at the base of Mount Sunapee. Yeah.
I have a bit of a following there. When they see my name, they come.
It's a nice time slot too, 7 to 9 on Saturdays. It's a really, really nice time slot there. Yeah.
And I was one of the hosts for the Shanty Jam this summer.
Yeah.
We ran an open mic there from 4 to 7 on Sundays.
Mm-hmm. Now, were you also a host for the one in Lebanon as well too that they do on Thursdays?
Yep, I worked with the Wheelers VT Productions, and
Yeah.
I was a monthly host there.
Yeah, Ty likes to rotate a bunch of different hosts, I imagine, right? I did it one time; it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we had our good friend, you probably know him. Shout out Max Casano, who's really been getting a lot more gigs in around the area too. Max came out. I forget who else, but that was like the main one that like stood out that came out and everything.
yeah,
so.
and for an off night to be able to go out and play music, that's a benefit.
Like you said, any opportunity to take a gig is a beautiful thing,
Right.
you know, not just to put food on the table, making money, but also the experience of jamming with people.
And it's a community thing because you at the same time you're giving back to community,
Yeah.
And you're getting younger players who are still learning to come out and play at. When I was hosting there, we'd have this high schooler come out and play, and he came out on a little piano and he could rail.
Yeah.
And it's just every week
Yeah.
he came back, he just got better and better, and it's great to watch the growing.
Doesn't it feel great now that you and I and Ty and a bunch of other people, we're in some regards, we're local like veterans and pros now at like what we do, that we have an opportunity to really inspire people that are 10, 15 years younger than us that are getting out to like open mics and jamming. And in a way, they're looking at us for like inspiration. It's got to be a pretty good feeling, right? To be able to give them the opportunity to come on up and jam, let them shine. And then you give them some pointers here and there. It's almost like we're becoming volunteer coaches.
Right? We're training the next generation.
Yeah. We're trained in something, right? Yeah. What else did I have on here on the list there? Oh, this is what I thought of. So you mentioned sound system when in the service. Have you ever, along with Ty, let's just say hypothetically, for example, have you helped put together big festivals like around here, or like local big festivals?
Well, I mean, Ty does a lot of that. He puts on 3 or 4 a year. When it comes every year, he does a blues festival at the Melody Mountain in Warren, New Hampshire, and
that's in August, right?
That's in September.
Oh, September. Okay, yeah. Doesn't he throw a big one in August too?
He throws a huge one.
Yeah, he throws it. Yeah,
yeah.
Forget which one. But yeah. Anyways, continue.
The Mountain Melody.
The Mountain Melody. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I help him when it comes to the blues festival for bringing in possibly the headlining act, because I know the blues scene pretty well, in terms of big players. Like this year, he brought in Albert Cummings.
Oh wow!
And he's a monstrous guitar player.
Yeah.
And he brought in Duke Robillard.
Oh wow! No kidding.
Who's played with the Fabulous Thunderbirds?
Yeah.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Would you say he's one of the biggest, like on like a different tier, like most popular like player? Like
Duke? Yeah, he was probably one of the largest. Roomful of Blues he brought in one year for the Blues Festival.
Yeah, because I think Duke has a couple of like pretty big albums, right? Like I remember listening to like one of his. Doesn't he have like a big band? The name is very familiar from.
Oh yeah, I mean he's been around for such a long time, and he's played with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Did you ever see Stevie live?
I never saw Stevie live.
I know that we were still like I was 1 year old when he passed away, so that means you were still relatively young. But man, he would have been so much fun to see.
Yeah, there's weird things I think about, like how would Stevie Ray Vaughan sound today if he was still alive?
Yeah. Hendrix, Dwayne Allman. Imagine if Dwayne Allman was still alive. I mean, as phenomenal as Derek Trucks has carried on the torch, he's like 45 years old.
Imagine
if Dwayne was still alive. Yeah.
Imagine Derek Trucks and Dwayne Allman going back and forth on solos.
Oh my gosh. Imagine if like, Bob Marley was still alive. I mean, he died when he was 35.
Right.
He was relatively young, but man, Stevie would have been a lot of fun to see. But his brother, Jimmy Vaughn, I think is in his 70s now.
Jimmy's amazing.
You
I've
seen
seen
Jimmy?
him in concert. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that when I was deployed to the Middle East, I didn't bring a guitar with me. We were only limited to what we could bring, but they had a big stage there and a closet by the stage. And I went in with a services guy and he showed me that there was all these instruments there.
Is that right?
There was a drum set, bass, guitars.
Did you ever get to hear any live music out there?
Yes.
When you were out
Yeah.
there?
They would fly in artists to come in and perform for us. But
how often was that?
Once a month.
Once a month. Yeah.
But what we did was I found other musicians who were also deployed there with me. And we started an open mic while we were deployed.
Wow.
So every Thursday night in the desert.
You must have been like a kid in the candy store. You're putting your knowledge together.
So we did an open mic jam every Thursday night. And when you're there, there's nothing much to do other than work and it's hot. But we set up all the instruments and they got the PA going and we did a jam every Thursday. And that helped get us through our deployment.
That's awesome. This was kind of an important question I wanted to ask you. This is part of my other catalog. I'm kind of bouncing around like my notes for fairness of and everything. What did serving in the military teach you relative and perspective wise of life and also work careers as far as discipline, being prepared, etc.?
Being in the military, it taught you discipline. They break you down in basic training and build you back up. And then they get you up early in the morning and they get you on a routine exercise, marching, learning history. You take classes while you're in basic training to learn about the military history. And then after that, they send you to a technical school where you're in a classroom for 12 hours a day, learning about what you're going to do for the military. And then upon graduation, from the technical training, they send you back to your base, and you're ready to
apply it all.
Yep.
Yeah, had to be a great just preparation for life also as well too. The reason I asked that question is because one of the things that helps motivate me with my active gigging schedule also too is a couple of years ago I just really started taking the business side of things like more seriously with this, whether it was prepping your tax work and your write-off stuff for this, keeping track of miles, all this other stuff, updating website on a daily basis, like the content, the social media content and everything. It's not to discourage upcoming musicians that are hearing this to be like, oh, I just want to play. That's all I want to do. Yeah. But it is kind of an important thing, don't you think? Taking it seriously like a business, but also not forgetting to have fun at the end of the day.
Right. I mean, you are a business that you're selling yourself. You're selling your band. You're selling.
You're your own agent also too.
Right.
Yeah.
And as BB King said it, BB King recorded country. He recorded all kinds of stuff that you don't know about.
Yeah. Oh, I actually had no idea he did country. Yeah.
And when asked about it, BB said, "I'm a performer.
Yeah.
I'm here to perform." And with my music, I do the same. I play blues. I play country. I play pop, classic rock. I love it all.
With how simple of an approach BB King had, though, you can put that in almost any genre and he'll make it sound really good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But going back to the original question, the business side of being a musician is very important. It's knowing what your tax write-offs are, when you're buying equipment, when you're buying strings for your guitar, when you're
getting back to clients in a timely manner, you
Right.
know? Yeah. Yeah. The other thing, brain fart for a minute. Sorry. Can folks find you solo or Adam McMahon Trio on various social media platforms? Do you have a bunch of your original music out online?
I have not. It's funny. As long as I've been doing this, I've never recorded. I started recording a demo, and I recorded everything except all the lead vocals. So I still have those old tracks. But you can find me on Facebook, Adam McMahon Trio.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you have a YouTube channel also too? Or?
I do have a YouTube channel. I haven't updated. I don't update that as much as I could.
Yeah.
I don't, because if I'm playing, I can't. I'm not good with you with the videos.
I used to be more active with Facebook Live, but yeah, you have done Facebook Live stuff, right?
Yeah, I have. When I'm hosting and someone's playing, if I'm hosting an open mic and someone's playing, like my friend Dustin.
Yeah.
And I enjoy.
I've got him on an episode coming up next week, actually. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. You jam with Dustin a lot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
When I can. Yeah,
Yeah.
We played the Chester on the green this year.
Oh yeah. In September. Yeah, I think I was.
You were the next
following day, the Vaz Day. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Being on that little hay ride tractor. Yeah. Scott of Down to the Roots and Southern Pie. He was telling me on Sunday. He goes, man, if you think today is busy, meaning Sunday, he goes, you should have seen yesterday, like how much of an S show it was, like with parking and driving around.
Yeah, I had to park and then unload with my fours on in the middle of the road by the crosswalk where the stage was, and then somehow turn around and park half a mile away across the graveyard.
And you could take like a golf cart to get over there. So too. Tell me your views on the importance in Vermont, New Hampshire of local community support.
Like supporting local music is huge, because as a working musician, there's nothing worse than going out and having an empty crowd, no one to play to. So how important it is to go out and invest in the local music. If they have a tip jar out, throw them a few dollars. Listen, sit down and listen for a few songs. It really helps the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you come in and just get a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Supporting local music supports local businesses, support local restaurants.
It's a team effort. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's that was one of my goals with this podcast also as well too, starting a couple months ago. Calling it the Tasty Twist. It's because I wanted to lump in for guests, musicians, restaurant owners, because we're all part of the same team. We're all in the same customer service industry. So yes, any local support is a good thing. And that also includes musician to musician, right? As far as like helping each other out, like, beefing each other up, healthy competition. So the other thing also too, how is it balancing work and music for you, your job and music career?
I've been doing it for so long now.
You got it, yeah.
So, but
does it get challenging some weeks though, or whether it's holidays or family commitments?
Well, my family's completely supportive of my music, and so isn't my full-time job. My boss, if I say, hey, I got to leave early, I have a gig, and they're really cool about it.
That's awesome.
Sometimes the early mornings after a late night are rough, but I've done it,
for so long. Yeah. Any big shows or new projects on the horizon? That stand out?
That really stand out? I mean, recently I got to play with Albert Cummings. Awesome. So I got to sit on stage and he was doing some crazy fast runs, and I'm like, Yeah. I just went straight into BB King mode.
Yeah. But I'm sure there was a lot of like smile exchanging back and forth, right?
Oh, yeah.
Reminds me a lot of, you mentioned Albert King, one of my most favorite documentaries of all time, Blues on Sunrise with Stevie Ray Vaughan in 1983. That's a money documentary, man. An hour and a half of those two just feeding off of each other in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
Because Albert was Stevie's boy. You know what I'm saying? Like they used to go to open mics way back in the day in Texas or wherever they were. And yeah, Albert just used to be like, oh, you're a young little whippersnapper. I guess you are going to be something one of these days. That had to be a great feeling, man.
But I mean, I've opened for some big artists, and I got to share the stage recently with Albert Cummings. I mean, look me up. I'm playing all over Vermont, New Hampshire. Come and see me. Come to a show.
They could also find you on thewheelersvt.org or .com, right? Whatever the website is.
If you click on the roster, it's at wheelersvt.com. And
Ty's got the full schedule of all of us musicians, like wherever we're playing for his venues and everything. Great. Awesome. Let's see. Oh, tell us about the train. So you and I had a fun experience with the Total Eclipse back in April.
Yeah, we 3 musicians, 1 train, and 300 people.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. For 8+ hours of time, if not longer. God, we started. When did we start? 8 o'clock in the morning, but we had to get there for 6:45.
We got there early, and we had to set up. We set up 3 stages. Two stages. And you, me, and Jim Yeager, just shout out Jim once again, and Nicole of Champlain Valley Dinner Train Vermont Rail System, just rotating. 45-minute sets or hour sets, right? Yeah, 45-minute set, hour off.
Yeah. It was so fun running into Allie T and her band up on the waterfront.
Right, you never know.
Yeah, I know.
Run into.
No, I mentioned this to her. She was the debut artist back on July 16th. Just how great of a version of Black Hole Sun of Soundgarden that they did. But that was so wild, wasn't it? Just for 30 seconds, just seeing the sun completely covered and the temperature difference, the light of the day, everything. Oh my gosh. Totally cool. That was your first time ever seeing something like that, right?
Yeah, that was my first time seeing an eclipse like that.
Yeah, like a total eclipse. Yeah, it was so wild.
Yeah, and how many times did you get requested to play Total Eclipse?
Who was that again? I forget. I've heard yeah. Let's see. But you have a bunch of shows coming up on the train still to close out the season, or they're almost done anyway.
They're almost done. They're ending this month, I believe, is the last one. The last one was last weekend. But I have shows all the way up through the end of the year. Most of them are right now in New Hampshire. But then coming in first of the year, I'm playing here at Okemo at Jackson Gore.
Oh, very nice. Nice. Are you doing solo or with the trio?
With the trio.
With the trio. Very nice. Is that the outside at Jackson Gore?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. That was a lot of fun. I loved seeing
Bring
you guys
on the
there.
winner.
Bring on the winner. Yeah. I'll be scanning tickets or running the lifts and waving hi to you. Yeah. But I got a few shows lined up there. That's awesome. Any advice, as folks are watching the podcast episode, any advice, inspirational advice you would want to give to anybody, whether it's a musician or a business worker or anybody in your field that might want to hear some inspirational advice about never giving up and all that jazz?
Inspirational. Well, never think bad of any other style of music. All right. If it's not a music style or genre you like, find something about it that you like. Mm-hmm. It could be
that you respect.
Right.
Like it may not be your cup of tea, but you respect it.
Right.
Yeah.
And music overall is the universal language for everybody. If you got a room full of people who all speak different languages, you could start playing a song and everyone can relate to that one song. Mm-hmm. But respecting all genres of music will help you grow as a person, and if you're a musician, as a musician as well.
There's an old saying too. You got to start somewhere, and every musician or every genre of music comes from somewhere else, right?
Right.
So think of how much jazz and classical music tie in with the blues, how much similarities there are really between the 3 styles. So yeah, and technology's come a long way with electronic music, and it all kind of ties into one another, man. I mean, I don't know if you listen to electronic dance music at all, by chance?
When I was in college.
Yeah. But there's a station on Sirius. It's Channel 55. It's called Chill, and a lot of like instrumental style music. But there's like some couple of like verses like thrown in here and there. I forget the name of the guy, but he was doing a remake of a John Lee Hooker song.
Oh, wow.
In electric dance style. Yeah. But getting back to the plugging and playing of people like B.B. King, how you can lump his style in with any musician. One that always comes to mind too, I don't know if you've ever seen him live, Carlos Santana.
Oh, right.
Where his style can jump in
into multiple genres.
Yeah, exactly.
Genres.
And he's made a living off of that also too. And I'm sure he's a very likable guy to work with because every big name has wanted to jam with him or have him on his album. So yeah, it's awesome. Well, Adam, this has been awesome on episode number 28 of the Tasty Twist. Lastly, do you want to give a special shout out to anybody in your family or friends?
To all my family, I love you and thank you for supporting me.
That's awesome. Well, we completed world domination here in episode number 28. I hope you'll come back for another episode.
Yeah, great. An update.
An update, yeah, yay.
Part two.
Yeah, and once again, Adam, thank you for your service, all those years, 20 years in the service, and for helping out with IT, because a lot of us need help with IT for sure and everything. So to the folks here at Okemo Valley TV, thank you guys for your hard efforts once again. To everybody tuning in, as always, to the Tasty Twist podcast, I am your host, Sammy Blanchette. It's been a great episode here with Adam McMahon. Thank you. Check him out online and check him out on the show, Adam McMahon or Adam McMahon Trio. Also, shout out to Ty McCarthy for booking all of us musicians, including Adam and myself. I'm Sammy B. You guys have a great day. Peace. Don't you worry now, my darling. Woo! Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of the Tasty Twist with Sammy B. You can watch all the episodes of this podcast on Okemo Valley TV's YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. You can visit their website, okemovalley.tv, consider downloading their mobile app, or watch them on live television via VTEL, channel 166 and 167, Comcast 1076 and 1086. Are you interested in supporting a local media station? Please consider becoming a member today. Visit okemovalley.tv for more information.